Welcome to the Rap Soul Podcast, where we dive deep into the world of music that moves our hearts and gets our feet tapping. This is the intersection of rap and soul music from the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. We appreciate you for listening. Share this podcast with a friend or family member who loves music as much as you do. The podcast is hosted by 12 Kyle. Next up, the Rap Soul Podcast.
This was the album to get. If you did not have this album, you wouldn't shit. It was like you had to have this album. You had to know about this album. It didn't matter what coast you were on. The source, which was the hip hop Bible at the time, said, this broke our scale. This is the greatest thing we've ever reviewed and listened to. That's like someone's like, yo, Jesus is coming. Jesus is coming Tuesday.
Welcome to another edition of the Rap Soul Podcast. I am your boy, 12 Kyle. I want to thank you all for tuning in as you do each and every week. Again, this is the Rap Soul Podcast. This is the intersection where we have discussions about music, more specifically when we're talking about rap, hip-hop, soul, and R&B. Simply put, folks, this is the best music podcast that you have never heard until right now. Again, I want to thank you all for tuning in. Shout out to those of you who are watching on YouTube. Man, check this out. All right, so I'll be honest. Let me pull the curtain back a little bit. I've been waiting and debating for so long to do this episode. You see the title. We're back on the Versus series. And if you're familiar or unfamiliar with how we do it, basically we'll take an artist. And in this case, we're using one artist and we're talking about using two albums from this particular artist. And in this case, as you see the title, it's Illmatic versus It Was Written. As many of you know, they are both from the artist Nas. Now, Illmatic was Nas's first album. It Was Written was his sophomore effort. Now, if you follow the podcast, you know that I believe in setting forth a criteria. We'll talk about that in just a second. But before I get into that, we have a guest. Well, I can't even call this guy a guest. He's here every other week. My man, Eclectik, the host of the Encyclopedia Hip Hop and Before Everything Changed podcast. Make sure that you subscribe to both. Is in the building. E, what up, man?
What's up, everybody? And thank you for having me on the show. It's Eclectik, a.k.a. the fifth letter, a.k.a. Clickmatic. So I'm in here. The eclectic slide.
I like that, the eclectic slide. All right, man. Welcome, man. I had to get you on. This was one that it's been in my notes probably for the better part of the last 2 years. And every time I kept saying, okay, I got to do this with E. I didn't want to do this by myself. I've done quite a few of the verses by myself, but I always try to find a guest. But I wanted to get you on this. And here's the thing, folks. Like, because E and I are friends and I've known him for so long, and we've done so many of these shows, I normally kind of think I know what he's going to say. I don't know what he's going to say, but I wanted him to get on this episode because, for one, obviously he knows hip hop, but for two, he can offer a very unbiased opinion, because I think I'm going to have to remove my biases when I do this breakdown, because I found myself leaning toward one of these albums more so than the other.
You was leaning toward the clearly better one.
But nonetheless, it wasn't until maybe, I don't know, man, 4 or 5 years ago, I didn't know that this was the discussion, but there's a segment of people, and probably a lot of you who have tuned in for this, who have It Was Written better than Illmatic. Now, as I mentioned at the top, we do have a criteria. We're just going to talk about the criteria as far as and we're actually going to score it this time. We'll give a score on 1 to 5 on the coherence of each album, the impact, the replayability, the lyrics, and the production. Like I said, this is Nas's first album and his sophomore album. Before we get started, what do you think about, because I know you're someone who you don't get into a lot of hip hop conversations, but you see a lot of hip hop conversations.
Yes.
When did you see on your timeline, or maybe some of the people that you see or encounter at the bar on Saturdays, talking about there was almost like a groundswell of hip hop fans who really, really flocked to It Was Written? When did you see that? Do you remember?
I don't know, about 10 years ago, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe 10. No, actually, it might be 15. This is what I assume. I assume that it comes from people who were not old enough when Illmatic dropped, heard about Nas, and then his next album, they got it and said, this is really great, and never went back to Illmatic, or just thought because of the peacock, beautiful, radio friendly production and the singles that came out and the videos that came out, they just assume, oh, this is better than that.
Right.
Or the people who just want to be contrarian and say, oh, so you guys so that had 5 mics. You know what? This is better. And right. Because we then started living in the age of trolls. And then we had people that saw stuff so much they just believed it.
Right.
This is, before we get into this is my thought, and my thought only. Everyone listen. This is just how I look at it. This is how I approach it. Illmatic is off the wall. It Was Written as Thriller. This is why I say that. When Off the Wall came out, none of these people that saying Illmatic were alive when this came out. But when it came out, it just dropped. And it was a soulful album. It was probably the most coherent. It's just a great album that everybody liked. You will never, ever find someone to say that they do not like Off the Wall.
Never. Not someone with a pulse.
Because of Off the Wall, when Thriller was coming out, it was promotion. He's coming back. He has something for us. He's coming, but the man that brought you this has a brand new. Same thing with Illmatic. Everybody loved Illmatic. Then next thing you know, it was commercials about If I Ruled the World. It was commercials with The Message. And it was like, oh, he coming back. It was the most anticipated second album in hip hop history. Nobody anticipated that was it. Much like Thriller. People was like, oh no. And so when Thriller came out, yeah, big videos, right, and all these singles.
Yep.
When It Was Written came out, he had the big videos. And he had, what do you mean, Lauryn Hill? Lauryn Hill, and then right, he had the Street Dreams, and Dr. Dre is on there, all the types of shit, and so it became for the people who wasn't, that didn't get it, like the Thriller age. They didn't listen to fucking Off the Wall. And if you love Thriller and you go back and listen to Off the Wall, you're like, what is this? He didn't even moonwalk on Off the Wall.
No,
what the fuck is this? So
not even close.
So that's how I choose to view this. So it's people that was there that get it, and people that wasn't there look at the big budget album, the bigger budget album with that's almost twice the play length of the first album, and they think bigger and more is better. That's
right.
where.
Listen, man, you summed that up perfectly, and I never make the correlation, but that is a great illustration of, both of those albums. And you're right. I mean, like, Illmatic definitely was off the wall. It was Michael Jackson's Off the Wall, and It Was Written was, Michael Jackson's Thriller. I think
sold more.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So crazy.
Way
I mean,
more.
like, but when you start talking about, and you and I, we rarely talk about sales on our podcast, but for the segment of the population that want to talk about sales, just understand that, Illmatic, while it went platinum or what have you, but
Eventually.
A lot of Illmatic was bootleg too. So, take that for what it's worth. But no, I think it's before we get into it, let me just put this out there to people. And I've said this on the podcast before, and it's worth repeating. I think part of the problem, I don't want to use the word problem, part of the discussion at the time when It Was Written came out was, and this goes back to what Eclectic was just saying, for those of us who were there for it and were outside, the album, at least it was presented to us before we saw it, before we heard one bar, before we heard any type of production or anything like that, it was pushed as, this is going to be Illmatic too. And so keep in mind, now we are thinking that Illmatic is the greatest thing since sliced bread from the time that it comes out in 1994 until It Was Written comes out in 1996. So you got a 2-year span here. So Illmatic had the streets on fire. We loved it. Nas was hailed as the next Rakim, so forth and so on. And so we're getting wind, without the internet, mind you, we're getting wind that this is the next best thing. Like this, bar none, this is going to be even better than Illmatic, which is saying a lot, because it's almost like saying that Bad was going to be the next Thriller for Michael Jackson. But that being said, so that's the way it was presented to us. Again, through the streets, not through social media, not through Twitter, not through anything like that. And so what I'm saying is that that's how it was presented. So when we got it, a lot of us loved it. And myself included. I love this album. Don't get it twisted. However, it wasn't Illmatic too. And I think when you run across and speak to a cross section of people, not just people from New York, and you may hear a little bit of this on this episode, with me and Eclectic, is that, it was presented as something, and then it wasn't what it was presented to us as. And so there were some fans who were honestly, unequivocally disappointed in It Was Written. So I just want to put that out there, because initially they were disappointed. Now, maybe they came around to it and they ended up loving it, because again, it's a great album. I don't know that it's close to the original, but E and I are gonna break it down right here. But I wanted to just put that out there, because I think we need to give folks some context, because in fairness, there are going to be people that listen to this podcast and watch this podcast that weren't around, and take it from two people who were, and we were outside and we didn't have the internet. What was presented to us, or at least what we thought we were going to get, we didn't get. Some of us loved it because, and E and I talked about, I think we talked about it on the podcast or talked about it off air or something like that. But like, just imagine someone telling you that Nas is doing a song with Lauryn Hill on this new album, and you can't hear it. You don't hear it until it comes out. So it wasn't like, they dropped the trailer or a tease on Instagram. We had no way of hearing it. So the album comes out in 1996, and you're looking for Lauryn Hill to be going, this is El Boogie, right? This isn't
Yeah, she doesn't have an album out. This is not this is not singer Lauryn Hill.
Exactly. And we get, the song that we got. And it's not a disappointment, but it's not what we thought it was going to be. I mean, if someone told you that Nas is going to be having Lauryn Hill on the song, you're thinking, shorty with the short hair, with the little twist, and she's coming out there beautiful brown skin, and she's out there rhyming, going bar for bar with Escobar. and he wasn't even Escobar at the time. He was just Nas. He was Nasty Nas. And we went from Nas to Nas Escobar. We went from Nasty Nas to Nas Escobar on this album. So I just wanted to give folks just that, thing, because it affected how some of us took the album. It was written. And again, I wanted to say all of that to say this. It is a great album. For some people, this album is Nas's best work. But Eclectic and I may have a difference of opinion. So without further ado, let's talk about the Coherence. If you had to rate this album, let's start with Illmatic first. If you had to rate Illmatic on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being the highest, coherent. How coherent is Illmatic?
Well, it depends on how it was presented to you or what you think Illmatic is about.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think it has some kind of theme, then it's in the middle of the road.
Mm-hmm.
As far as coherent and like that. Now, if you look at it the way that I do, as it's just, this is what's happening on the streets, b-boy, rap, bar, lyric, perspective from the stoop, or perspective from the park bench, perspective from the train, it's like a 4 or 5.
Right.
So it depends on how you approach it. Because you got New York State of Mind, and then you got fucking Life Sucks. And then it's like, man, you can be whatever you want, man. The world is yours. And then it's like, man, just calm down. And then you're looking at your retrospect. You're looking at things while you're sitting in the park. And then your man is in jail, so you write him a letter.
Write your letter, yeah.
And then you sitting on the stoop rapping, just thinking about how shit is on the streets. And then it's like, look, man, I'm representing the block. And so if you look at it that way, 4 or 5. But if you look at it like, oh man, what is he talking about? What does this mean? Or how does this song go into this? And what's the story? Nah.
Yeah, I think I'll give it a 4.5. Hell, I might say even a 5. It's I'll say 4.5. I'm with you. I think it's a very coherent album. One of the things that really impressed me was to find out later on, like, I'm only, I think, maybe 9 months older than Nas. So he wrote this at the time when I was like a freshman at South Carolina State University. Or somewhere, no, probably, I'll take that, but probably somewhere around my sophomore year. Nonetheless, I mean, like, just to be that young and to be going through what he went through and to put that in an album was phenomenal. So I think it is a storybook of New York City, his life, Queensbridge, and everything in between. And that's what makes this album a 4.5 of me. Impact. If I had to score it, I'd give it a 5 on Impact, because and I'm only speaking on when the album came out. Like I mentioned earlier, it's heavily bootlegged. I don't have time to explain for the kids at home what bootleg means, but I mean, the streets had it before it actually made it record stores. But Nas's his impact was incredible all the way through. You could not go anywhere without hearing this album. It was a phenomenal piece of work, and I think it set the streets on a whole nother level as far as impact goes. Where do you have it at?
Oh man, Kyle just said it set the streets on fire. That's what he just said. The impact. Yeah, I mean, we're doing 1 to 5. It's a 5, because regardless of what was out or what was coming out, this was the album to get. If you did not have this album, you wouldn't share. It was like you had to have this album. You had to know about this album. It didn't matter what coast you were on. The source, which was the hip hop Bible at the time, said, "This broke our scale. This is the greatest thing we've ever reviewed and listened to." And this is before it came out. We were just reading about it like, oh, really? Wow. That's like someone's like, yo, Jesus is coming. Tuesday. Jesus is coming Tuesday. He's about to say all this stuff. You're like, what? Well, when is it's Saturday. What?
We ain't got time to get ready.
Yeah. So when it came out, it was nothing else was like that. Not because before that you had Into the Wu-Tang, and you had Doggy Style. Everyone had Doggy Style. I didn't, of course, because fuck Doggy Style. But
yo, I thought you were just about to give him some props.
Absolutely not. Fucking terrible. Fuck you. But people had Midnight Marauders Into the Stage, but this is the one you had to have.
Right.
And it was nothing like that. Really, before Ready to Die was nothing was like that. The reason why I say nothing was like that is because this was before it came out. It was before anybody heard it except for the editors at the source, and who had a bootleg. And if you weren't in New York, you didn't have a bootleg.
Exactly. And this is on the strength of his verse on Live at the Barbecue and Back to the Grill Again.
And halftime.
And halftime, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, no, it was the Impact 5.
All right. What about replayability? When you jump in your custom built Tesla, hold on, quick sidebar.
You know the vibes.
Quick sidebar. If you guys are watching on YouTube, you may have seen my facial expression. I really was on edge because I thought at one particular historic moment he was just about to give Calvin Brodus some props, and he just shitted on him. It's comical, but anyway, I'm amused over here. But yeah, so replayability in your custom built Tesla. How often are you playing this album in 2026, or since you've had the custom built Tesla?
Since I had the custom built Tesla, I'm on my second one at this point.
Ah, nice.
But I listen to a lot of the songs. I don't say I listen to it front to back because I'm never gonna listen to Genesis again. So I'm always gonna, I'm gonna skip Genesis. And I usually do a shuffle, so it's not really front to back. But every song on there, except I'm gonna say, I won't always listen to Represent.
Okay, love Represent.
Me too, but I think
that's fair though.
I blame Primo. I blame Primo.
What did Primo do to you, man?
Because Primo, if you don't go subscribe to his YouTube.
Okay.
He often plays like the DAT version or the original version of some of his beats.
Mm-hmm. I've seen that.
And he'll play. I'm like, why didn't you use that? so that's just me being me. But I listen to and I celebrate the majority, 90% of this album often. Contrast. The other album is gonna be way less than 90.
Okay. So you give it what, a 4, 3?
Yeah. I give it a strong 4. A strong 4. I got Joker, King of Spades, Ace of Diamond, Ace of Heart. That's a strong 4.
No doubt. Well, if you guys know me, you follow the podcast, replayability is a 5. Like I literally listen to this album at least once a week.
Wow.
Seriously, I just do.
I mean, you can't get in and get out. It's an episode of the Cosby Show.
Exactly. I mean, and I'll be honest, the only not for many years, I've kind of settled in this because it just is what it is. But my only knock on this album for many years was the fact that it's 38 minutes, 39 minutes.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
and that's including the Genesis. So if you take the Genesis off, you probably got like a 37-minute, 36-minute album. I don't know how long the Genesis is, but it's not that long. But I do, and I don't skip the Genesis for the record.
Yeah, I skip the Genesis.
So next up, lyrically, where would you rank Nas on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being the highest? Where do you rank this album lyrically? Illmatic.
I mean, 4.89. I'm not. I mean, is the lyrics. The lyrics are, they're one of a kind. It wasn't any. What Nas was able to do, in my opinion, was make a style that was a mix of the two greatest lyricists of all time, in my opinion, Coogee Rap and Rakim.
Okay. And
managed to make something still unique that was his. So, because, and people might not be able to follow me here, but if you close your eyes on the majority of Illmatic, he sounds like Coogee Rap.
You can hear the influence for
the
sure.
Lyric pattern, it sounds like Coogee Rap. The way that he puts introspective and higher thought words together is where the Rakim comes in. Because Coogee Rap is just like, look, I got a job from the mob, I shoot him, I killed him. but so the introspective and the higher thought, higher plateau, the deep thought stuff, I get that the Rakim. The delivery and the patterns is Coogee Rap, but when you mix them together, he's managed to come up with something that was Nas. And the reason why I say that is because, too much to my chagrin, he no longer has this flow, and I hate it. I hate that he no longer has this flow. At some point, when he went from Nasty to Nas to Esco, and then when he went to Nostradamus,
yeah,
he lost something.
Yeah,
but go So I've had almost 5. I just can't give him 5 because I don't want to give anybody a perfect score.
Yeah, you're that tough substitute teacher. I got to give it a 5. I think lyrically, it's some of the best lyrics that we've ever heard. Never really thought about what you just said as far as Coogee Rap and Rakim, but you can hear the influences in the music. So go ahead.
As the story goes, he got turned away from Def Jam with Russell saying he sounds too much like Coogee Rap. And he didn't want to sign him. That's what the story goes. I was not there. I was a freshman at Where Everybody Is Somebody.
For those of you who didn't catch that, he was a freshman at Grambling State University in Grambling, Louisiana.
Where everybody is somebody.
So I've been told several times. That guy, he finds a way to work that in every episode. Yeah, I think lyrically, I can't think of anything that was better at that time. He was just on a whole nother level. Like I said, some of the lyrics that he had on Live at the Barbecue, obviously he famously said, when he was 12, we went to hell for snuffing Jesus. That raised eyebrows across hip hop. And he followed that up with this phenomenal piece of work. And again,
and then on Back to the Grill, he said he was waving automatic guns at nuns.
automatic guns at nuns. And again, to E's point, as he mentioned earlier, 5 mics in the source. I mean, like, that was unheard of. And I'm going to do an episode on, the Source magazine, because the Source magazine does need to be talked about. It was, our quote unquote hip hop Bible at one point before it went whack. But that's another story for another day.
Shouts to Benzino.
Yeah, shouts to Benzino. But yeah, it was the lyrics. He was on a whole nother level. Last but not least, production. This guy got production from. What was interesting about the production was the people that were selected to do this album. You mentioned Primo, of course, Pete Rock, LES, Large Professor, just to name a few. Q-Tip. Where would you score the production on this album?
I mean, it's right up there with the lyrics. So,
4.89.
Yeah, 4.889999. The thing is, yeah, they Voltroned his production team. They Super Friends his production team, and when you think about it now, you're like, wow, he he LeBron'd it. He just went and got it. It's like, no, he got the team. But he really didn't, because this is why he didn't. He had nothing. It wasn't like, oh, this is the guy, we're about to work with him.
Right.
No one knew. No, it was just people was like, yo, you need to get on this. You need to do this. And they're like, huh? Just make a beat, man. And then he goes in and rhymes. They're like, oh no, this is what it is. And then there's a host of people who got approached to make beats and didn't, because they didn't know. They didn't know he was. Eric Sermon was like, yeah, they asked me, I was like, nah, I'm working on Def Squad shit. I don't fucking, you know what I'm saying? And so it's, but yeah, the production is crazy. 50 points if you know what LES stands for.
I don't. What does LES stand for?
I mean, well, technically, the guy's name is LaShawn, but LES is Lower East Side.
Only you and 7 other people in Idaho know that. I did not know that.
Lower East Side of Queens.
Okay. LES. Shout out to LES. Yeah, man, production. I'm with you. I think that's the thing that always was intriguing to me, because when you think about hip hop from today's perspective, rarely are you going to get a new artist to be able to at least get his or her hands on a big time producer. And for Nas to be I'm not going to call him a nobody, because he wasn't a nobody. He had already hit a buzz. But for your first album to get these heavy hitters as far as producers, I mean, like, that doesn't happen. And this may have been the only time in hip hop where it did happen. I mean, it would be the equivalent of somebody coming out today in 2026 and they get, Eric Sermon, they get Pete Rock, they get Ninth Wonder, they get Swiss Beats, they get Kanye, they get Dr. Dre, and
Mustard.
Mustard on a beat. Oh,
bullshit.
And they get Mustard. All of those people. And I mean, like, and Mike Will made it, I mean, all of those on one album. So it doesn't happen. So that just speaks volumes as to where Nas was lyrically and what people thought about him at that particular time.
And one more thing to that is, it very easily, that production could have overwhelmed.
Facts.
If Nas wasn't Nas, it would have been like, oh, now that's a great beat tape.
Right.
Right.
That is a great point. That is, and that's the thing that I think, for as much as people as his career moved on, was down on Nas as far as his beat selection. Can't say that about Illmatic. Can't say that about Illmatic at all. Now, conversely, let's move on to It Was Written. Again, I mentioned came out in 1996. Very, very popular album. Sold a lot of records. I think, without looking it up, it's probably still Nas's most successful, commercially successful album to date.
It is his best-selling. It's his best-selling album. It is triple plat.
Wow. Okay. So let's start there, man. Coherence.
And it went triple plat before Illmatic went plat.
Wow. There you go. Look at you with the stats.
Well, listen, man.
Coherence, man. Where you scoring this? Keep it a bean.
Well, I'm far too old to. I don't know what beans are.
Keep it a buck.
And listen. I think of Glenn Robinson when you say that. So,
shout out to Terry Cummins.
It had an intro.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, did that intro disappoint. I was almost ready to walk out of my bedroom when I'm like, what? When I tell you I skipped the Genesis, oh my God. But I stuck with it. I said, look, it's Nas. It's Illmatic too. I'm in here. Coherent. It's all over the place. I don't know what it's supposed to be. It was written. You would think it's all right. Bible. It was foretold. The future is. I already knew when Illmatic came out, I was going to be this dope. It was written, though. So here's the next chapter. That's what my brain said.
Mm-hmm.
But this album, I mean, Black Girl Lost. Oh, okay. All right, I guess. Sure. And then shootouts. Okay. Street Dreams. What is this about?
Suspect.
And maybe, and I will say this, maybe it's a sequencing thing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the songs just weren't in the order that they should have been for this to be coherent. Maybe it could have been, but maybe it could have started with Nas's Common and then the Message, and maybe Street Dreams and Black Girl Lost could have been back to back, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So if you had to score it, what are you going to score it on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being the highest?
I'll put it right in the middle, 2.5.
Okay. Something you said is the first thing that I said once I listened to it again, because full disclosure, prior to getting ready to do this episode, I had not listened to It Was Written all the way through probably in about 2 years. So it's been a while, right? And so as I'm listening to it, I like to give it a few spins as, you get closer and closer to the time to do the episode. We had a scheduling conflict last week and didn't record, but I listened to it last week and, listened to it some more this week. Coherence, the thing that you said as it relates to Coherence was it's all over the place. This album coherently is all over the place. I mean, like you got your street song, you got your club songs, you got your, motivational songs, about the Black Girl Lost. It literally is all over the place. It's not a coherently put together album. And like you said, it could be sequencing. From what I was told later on in life was that there were a few songs that probably should have made the album, but didn't.
Silent Murder.
Yep, that was one. So, I'm going to give it a 3. And I honestly, I think I'm being kind of generous in that because the first listen that I had a couple of weeks ago, I was like, oh, okay. Like you know how like when you listen to something and you go back and you're like, man, maybe this wasn't what I thought it was. And it's not that it's I don't want anybody to think it's a bad, because it's not a bad album. It's not Illmatic.
No, what I think in retrospect and going back and listening, what I think this album, and I don't know. I wasn't in Q Burrow, but what I think this album was supposed to be was a movie.
Yes.
Like where, you know, the guy has the street dreams, and then you got a girl, and she lost, and they thinking if I ruled the world, and he's revenging on his enemies, they taking it in blood, and I gave you power, the gun jams like shoot. I think it reads like a movie, but again, it's not in order.
Yeah. I agree totally. As far as impact, I'm going to give it a 4. It's probably more impactful. It probably became more impactful over time. When it came out, it was impactful because obviously it was the follow up to the Smash first LP in Illmatic. And I feel like I'm being generous with that 4 because I don't know. I think the impact probably hit people more down the line than it did initially when it came out. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was a big record, but like, I guess because there was still, at least from me and my friends, there was somewhat of a level of disappointment because it just wasn't what it was billed to be. But again, a dope album, but impactful. I say a 4, and that it might be 3 and a P. So, but I'm gonna round it up and say 4. What about you?
I'm gonna say 2.
Okay.
I don't think the reason is, although it moved the needle for Nas and it got Nas out there, what people, and the triple plat, the whole thing, but what people don't understand is this. And this is just my opinion, but this is what I don't think people get. And went triple platinum off the strength of Illmatic. If Illmatic never happened, this is not going triple platinum. This sold off the strength of, this is the guy from Illmatic.
Yeah.
And he's about to do another Illmatic. It wasn't, I'm buying this because of the setup featuring Havoc. No one said, I'm getting this for live nigga rap.
Yeah.
They got this because this is the Life's a Bitch guy. Maybe AZ is on this one too.
Yep.
So it wasn't because this album was so dope. It was because Illmatic was so dope. So the impact, nobody changed the way they moved because this came out. Part of the reason is the highs on this. I gave you power.
Yep.
The message.
Yep.
Affirmative action. People couldn't do.
When the highs are high. The highs are extremely high.
When you can't do that, it's not like, oh yeah, I'm about to do it. It was written. You can't. You can't, and you can't do Illmatic. And so then the problem was, eventually we found out Nas couldn't do an Illmatic, or it was written either. until Jay-Z told him he couldn't. And then when Jay-Z told him we couldn't, he said, all right, well, I'm about to end your career.
You know what? And I wonder if you remember this, because this is the only promo that I remember from this particular album. There was a commercial, and I remember seeing it I was watching Rap City, and there was a picture of the album cover, the album cover for Illmatic. We all remember, for It Was Written. We all remember the album cover for Illmatic because it was Nas is like 9 years old. It's got Queensbridge in the background. And so the promo that I saw on TV was a commercial, like a 20, 30-second spot. And so it had the picture of the album cover, and it's zoomed out, and then it's zooming in on Nas's face on the album cover. And all you hear is, Nas is coming, the song, Nas is coming. And so I'm like, I'm watching it on BET. I'm like, oh shit, like I'm about to lose my shit. Cause like, it's just Nas is coming. And that's all it's saying. And so that's the only promo that we got, at least that I got.
No. I remember this.
Okay. Talk to me.
So it was 2.
Okay.
It was 2. So the first one was the what you're talking about, the Nas is Coming one was the thing, but that was right. I think that was, for me, it already came out.
Okay.
What I remember was it was the Color Lights. He was in the car and they were doing The Message. It was Fake Love, No Thugs, You Get Slugs in Before. And then right after that, it cut off. And then the second one was a continuation of that, and it said feet. It was the If I Ruled the World, and it showed Lauryn Hill. See, that's how we knew what the song was.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't know she wasn't rapping. We just knew that she was singing If I Ruled the World. And so what we did, we was like, oh shit, because keeping everybody aware, I love the original. I'm the only person that you guys will ever meet or hear that thinks the Curtis Blow version is superior to the Nas version.
Even Curtis Blow didn't even think that.
And it really is. You know why it is? Because he did the thing better. Anyway, and it wasn't brought up to be something that it ended up not being.
Yeah.
But it was because I think that If I Ruled the World video has the message in the beginning. Yeah, it has the message in the beginning, and then it goes to her singing. So the first commercial was that first part, and then the next thing it was a clip of that, and so that's how we knew. That's how we knew what it was. And then when the album came out, that's when that other, because I didn't know what the album cover looked like until I went and bought it.
Okay. Yeah, I saw that commercial, and you got a great memory because now I do remember that. I don't think I saw that until after the album was out. I know I got the album the first day that it came out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was it just wasn't. Again, it was a great album. It wasn't what we thought it, because if somebody told you in 1996 that you were going to get Lauryn Hill on the hook, well, not even the hook. They just told you that you were going to get Lauryn Hill and Nas, everybody was signing up for that. And what we got was a smash single that was all on MTV, BET, and everywhere. It just wasn't what we thought it was going to be.
I'm gonna tell you before we get into this, because it might not come up.
Mm-hmm.
I got this the minute the record store opened when it came out, and I'm walking back these days. I didn't, and so
because you're in college by this time.
Yeah, but I was home on break.
Okay,
because I think I was home on break. That was Illmatic. I was home on break.
Yeah,
no, this one too, because this came out in the summer. I was summer break.
Right,
it came out in like July.
For sure.
And so I was at home on summer break and walking, and I walked to no Tesla. I had electric feet. So, but my man's house was before I could get home.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, I got to listen to this. I went over to his house and said, hey, I don't care what you're doing. Look what I got.
Oh, wow.
And my first listen was in his bedroom on his stereo. And it came on, and I was so disappointed in the intro. And then I was like, okay. I'm like, you know what? But whatever. Because the message came on. And I'm like, okay, we in here.
We
in here. And then Street Dreams came on, and I think I heard Street Dreams on a mixtape. And because, Clue had all the track master.
Yeah, shout out Clue.
And so, and then I Gave You Power, and I'm like, okay, because at the time I'm still on adrenaline. I'm not dissecting, he a gun. I'm just like, okay.
You're just listening.
Because I'm going to say, even though Premier did that, I was like, that's not Primo's best beat.
No, but it was dope.
And so then watch them, and I was like, I'm a sucker for anything Foxy. But I was like, what? Shouldn't Foxy be rapping more? So anyway, I say all that to say, and I hated Nas's comment. I was like, shut up, I hate Dr. Dre. But I was like, shut up, Dre. Because Dre's not cool. Dre is a fucking bigger fucking Calvin. He's not cool. He's not hard. He's not a gangster. He's a fat lump that steals beats and fucking samples, and people think, hey, shut up. Shut up.
A bigger Calvin. That's funny.
Yeah, he's a big lump. And so he'll be in the back talking, yeah, what up, Nas? Shut up. Shut up. You just met him. Don't shut up. And
yeah,
so
listening to Nas and Dre fake smoke weed in the studio sounds funny to me.
Yeah, I'm like, why has your voice got treble? Shut up. I don't like it. Yeah, shut up. You don't sound like that. Anyway. Wait, I don't smoke weed or cess guy, but anyway.
Stop it.
after it was all over, I was disappointed. I was like that to the point, and I didn't do this, but I almost left the tape at his house. I was almost I was like, man, nah, you go ahead. You go ahead and keep that. But I was like, nah, I gotta listen to this some more. It can't be that what I think it is.
No, I definitely wasn't doing that. Replayability, I have this as a 2. And it's, again, because I know people will hear what they want to hear. This is a good album, a really good album. I don't go back to it often. I'll be honest. And unlike he said that, he has, when he listens on shuffle. Normally when I go back to albums, I listen to the albums all the way through, particularly if that's how it was, if that's how it was initially presented to me. But, especially nowadays, there are not a lot of albums that you can just listen to all the way through, because a lot of albums have a lot of filter in them. But the albums back then, a lot of them, they were just very easy listens, and you could listen to them all the time, all the way through. That being said, the highs are extremely high on this album. So I go back to the highs. I go back to the joints that, like, I Gave You Power. I go back to those frequently. But me sitting through this, and I'll be honest, a couple of times when I looked at this, as I was listening to the album, I kept looking at it over at the old Spotify clock to figure out, like, okay, when does this album end? Because I don't listen to it that often, so I couldn't remember what the last song was. And so a couple of times I kind of glanced, like, okay, how much longer do I have? Because, like you said, this album is almost twice as long as Illmatic is. And I'm not one of those people who will bother by long albums, but this album is pushing an hour. And I think that's more than enough time for Nas to get it. I think if probably given another chance, I probably think he would have maybe cut out a song or 2 or 3. But replayability, I got it at 2. What about you?
As Biz Markie would say, I want to. Face. Because honestly, I only really go back to like 3 songs.
Okay.
And as much as I acknowledge more than 3 songs are good, I don't want to listen to them. There's nothing that makes me. It's like Fight the Power is an incredible song, but I'm not in the mood to always hear Fight the Power.
I am.
Yeah, but I'm always in the mood to hear Ain't No. See, so I'm always in the mood to hear Respect. You see,
I'm always going to listen to Respect if I'm in your car.
See, but that's what I'm saying. So, I mean, I love The Message.
Same.
And anything you gonna give me the Firm, I'm listening to Affirmative Action. I'm gonna listen the hell out of that.
Right.
After that, I don't really care. I know what I Gave You Power is, but I know it. I'm not gonna listen to it in amazement anymore. I'm just gonna be like, oh yeah, it's damn, it jammed on. So I don't go, and the third one is Black Girl Lost. I really love Black Girl Lost. I do. I don't know why, because it's not like
I was about to ask you why. That was a tough listen for me. A couple of times I heard it.
I love Black Girl Lost. the message and affirmative action. And watch them because Foxy's voice is just, but. And
what
I love
what about Suspect?
It's all right.
Okay, fair.
But watch them. I mean, that's probably if it's not number one, it might be it's top 3 most quoted things on this album.
Okay.
I got no bitch. I got no games just for bitches understand my story.
I've
See
said
that
a
pussy
time or
that,
two.
yeah, it's mandatory. See that pussy, they hand it to me. I got no game. It's just some bitches understand my story.
That's it. They understand my story.
So watch them. Like when that came, I was like, oh, okay.
All right. So then we move on to lyrics. Where do you have lyrics at for "It Was Written"?
I'm gonna go tree. I'm gonna go
Okay.
tree, maybe 3.5.
Okay.
It's the lyrics are there.
Yeah.
For the most part, it's just the music kind of takes away from them, and it's just. I've always said this about Nas. I said this about Nas. It Was Written. I said this about I Am and Nostradamus.
Mm-hmm.
I said these 2 things. One, all of them would be incredible a cappella albums. And 2, all of them would be great with Illmatic's beats.
Fair.
If they had Illmatic's beats,
fair.
He's never dropped a whack apple. But unfortunately, here we are.
Yeah, I think lyrically, I'll give him a 4. I think with songs like "I Gave You Power," the message, I mean, it puts me still in the feel of Illmatic. Lyrically, Nas has never been bad. I mean, like, I think he's just as far as lyricist, I think he's the second greatest lyricist in my opinion behind Rakim. That being said, of course, I know you don't agree. But yeah, lyrically, I think he was on point on this album. I have no issues with the lyrics. Like you said, a couple of songs like "Black Girl Lost," I could do without. "Suspect" was cool. But again, go ahead.
I'm gonna tell you what takes away or what took away from these songs. And this was prevalent in a lot of people, but it really kind of hurt Nas the most. And again, this is just me. This is the way I look at things. No one looks at things the way I do. I'm an odd duck. I'm an odd duck. But, and I'm gonna try to coach you through this.
I'm listening.
You know the biggest difference besides the super friends of production, Illmatic to It Was Written. It Was Written decided that every song needed a chorus. Every song had to have some kind of talking. Watch them niggas because Nas is coming. Nas is coming.
Yeah.
Suspect niggas on come up. It's almost every song, and none of them were dope. None of the chorus.
I thought they were good, but they weren't great for me.
I said dope. I said none of them were dope. They could be good and not dope. So, and my personal proclivity is you will always in the history of the world, for the longest we live, you will get my attention with a scratch hook.
Oh yeah.
If you got a scratch hook, I'm in. Or if you got a sample hook, I'm in. When you start saying your shit, and this is what happened. That was this era when people just started saying their hook and rapping. Illmatic, the most you had was one love, one love, one love. Well, I mean, what was the chorus to New York State of Mind? That
was it. Just the sample.
And it was "The World Is Yours." The way it was just repeating 3 words.
Oh, no doubt.
Represent. It was no hooks.
None whatsoever.
And they hard to tell it didn't have a hook.
And that was a radio single.
Yeah. Life's a bitch, a little bit, but I mean, you also had AZ on there. So I don't know. I just think that it was too many catchy, I'm trying to be on the radio shits, and the hooks was just, you can't be super grimy and want to scare me and be chanting a hook.
No.
So
I mean, and that is a great point. I never really thought about it like that, but that's a great point because you're right. Almost everything on Illmatic had a certain vibe, had a certain feel. Everything on It Was Written was meant and set out to be melodic. And while that's not, I can't really knock it. It's just, it's different. And
what it was 90. It was 96. It was,
and you're talking about a 2-year span. And let's just be honest here. Nas, when he made Illmatic, it went for the streets. It's a street album. It's a street record. It was solely meant for the streets. If it made it to the charts, cool. It Was Written. He was clearly, when we talk about baseball swinging for the fences, he was clearly swinging for the fences. He was clearly swinging for the charts. And I'm not mad at it because, he saw in that time frame guys like Biggie blow up with these big radio records. And so that's how you have, If I Rule the World with Lauryn Hill. That being said, and it worked, because again, it was his most commercially successful album.
So,
but I think he probably should have stuck to the streets. That's just me.
Well, I agree with you. What I think he tried to do, it's two things. Mm-hmm. Thing one, Illmatic is his entire life up until when Illmatic dropped.
Facts.
It Was Written is in between Illmatic and It Was Written.
2 years. Yeah. Probably a year and a half.
This was all the shit he ever wrote, thought about, had time to make perfect. And then when it was time to make It Was Written, I'm pretty sure somebody was in his ear like, all right, look, we gotta make, now you're doing an album. We actually gotta make money off of this album. We made dick off Illmatic. The streets love you, but we made dick. And so you gotta make this. But so what I think is he zigged because he had to go up against what had already came out. Purple Tape, Liquid Swords, the infamous. Big L came out.
Doggy Style.
Old Dirty came out. I'm not listening to you. Even
The Chronic.
Me Against the World that just came out.
Yeah.
And so he like, well, damn, all of this shit is like, well, the New York shit was mad street. So maybe if I go over here, because you weren't going to get If I Rule the World on the infamous.
No. Not even close.
You weren't going to get a Black Girl Lost on the Purple Tape.
Not even close.
So I think he went that way, and it was because he was trying to make some money because Quiet as Kept, the infamous, the Purple Tape, Liquid Swords, it wasn't like they was going quadruple platinum either.
No, not even close. Nowhere near. But it was popular, like you said.
The only thing that made money, like in 95, was like Ace 1999.
Yeah. Shout out to Bone.
Yeah. And,
Thuggish Ruggish.
Soul Food came out.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't even think that made him. I
think Soul Food might have gone gold.
Yeah. Me Against the World, maybe, or Lab California.
Mm-hmm.
Lab Cabin California. But anyway, yeah.
So we close it out with production. I'm going to give it a 4. Not really a big fan of the samples / stolen samples. I was thinking Tone and Poke, but Tone and Poke was cool, but he's got production from Tone and Poke, the track better known as the Track Masters, Dr. Dre, just to name a few. the boom bap sound was gone from this album, non-existent. And you know, I think that took it down a peg. But I'll still give it a 4. I think it's a solidly produced album. It's not on the same lines of production as Illmatic. What do you think?
3.
Okay.
Because it was far too much, in my opinion, track masters on this album. Because I mean, Primo and LES was back.
Yeah.
But every other song was a track master, because this is the Biggie days and the Puff and the this is what it was, and he moved away from the formula, and this is what happened. Now, the question I have for you, and then because I don't know what you have planned, because it's a very unprofessional podcast, but
we're never professional.
And your opinion, is this? It was written by Nas BODJ. Is this his second best album after Illmatic, or are you saying that it's better than Illmatic and Illmatic is his second best album?
I'm not saying that that this album is better. I mean, you guys scoring at home, I wrote the scores down, but I'm not even going to tally them up. I could tell you that both E and I have Illmatic over It Was Written. That's a good question. On the surface, without listening to all of the other albums, I think this is probably his second best album. Unlike you, I'm a fan of what Nas did with Hit Boy. This run that he's had, I'm not as big a fan as a lot of people, but I enjoy those albums. I really did. And he's done way better than Jay-Z has.
Wow. Look, did Corey just get a stray?
He caught a stray, man.
Jeez.
So without listening or thinking just off the top of my head, I'd probably say it's his second best album.
I think it's his 4th best album.
What do you have it to? I'm curious.
Light Years.
Oh,
I got Light Years in number 2.
Okay. Man, Light Years. I'm still playing Light Years. Damn.
Yeah, I got Light Years in number 2. I think he outdid himself.
I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that at all. You know, let me go back and listen to Light Years. I haven't listened to it probably in a month or so.
Yeah,
but
I got Illmatic, Light Years, Stillmatic, It Was Written.
Stillmatic's tough.
Stillmatic, in my opinion, Stillmatic's highs.
The highs. But you don't like Second Childhood. I love Second Childhood.
No, Second Childhood is my top 10 favorite Nas songs.
I thought you didn't. No, I'm sorry, the Flyers. You don't like the Flyers.
I hate the Flyers.
Love the Flyers.
I can't stand the Flyers.
That's, you know, I'll circle back on that one, because I think, wow. Yeah, man, that's a damn good question. Light Years is up there.
Yeah, I got Illmatic, Light Years, Stillmatic, and then I got It Was Written kind of tied with Godson.
You know what, man? I right now, just off the top, just because I've heard it more recent, I'm still going to say It Was Written is probably second, but Stillmatic is a close third. And if I listen to Stillmatic tomorrow, I could probably tell you where I would put it. And it might be over. I'm just going to text you out the blue and just be like, "Yerp." Like, I'm putting it here. But I'm glad you mentioned that, because I do need to go back to Stillmatic. But yeah, Nas, he's got some great albums. I'm not going to go crazy and say that KD3 was better than, Stillmatic. I'm not, but I've heard people say that.
Go back and listen to Godson too, though.
Oh God, the highs are crazy on Godson.
The highs are some of the best highs on Godson. Made You Look, Get Down.
Man, listen.
The Last Real Nigga, Book of Rhymes.
Book of Rhymes. Oh, man, I love Book of Rhymes.
And Nas, 12 Vito's favorite song, I Can.
I know I can't be what I want to be.
Yeah.
Man, listen, I think you make a great case. In conclusion, folks, like I said, I wrote the numbers down. I'm not going to read them off to you, but I think Eclectic and I have basically laid out the blueprint, pun intended, that Illmatic is a better album than it was written. And there's nothing wrong in saying that. And again, I think I just, the thing that I always go back to is that I got one of my homeboys. He's probably about, I don't know, he might be 12, 13 years younger than me. And I remember him saying that It Was Written was a great album, but it was his introduction to Nas. And so imagine being 12 years old and you're just now getting into hip hop, and this is the first album that you pick up. So It Was Written blew him away. And so he treats, in his mind, he treats Illmatic maybe like how we treat, Paid in Full or Illmatic or It Takes a Nation of Millions or Criminal Minded.
Thriller, Off the Wall.
There you go.
They were like, "Oh my God, what do you mean? Beat It, Billie Jean, Thriller? What are you talking about?" And like, but working day and night.
Yeah, I can't help it.
Yeah,
I can't help it.
Like, what are you talking? But if you weren't there,
yeah, I mean, listen, if you can listen to a song like "I Can't Help It" from Michael Jackson and not be moved, you just don't have a pulse, man. I'm just sorry. So yeah, there you have it. Illmatic versus It Was Written, aka Off the Wall versus Thriller. E, before we get out of here, man, tell folks where they can find you, where they can check out both of your podcasts.
Well, listen, if you want to rock with me, don't stop until you get enough of my podcast. Before I'm out of your life.
You stupid.
Look, put in your search when you're doing podcasts, before everything changed, the before EC. Listen, if for nothing else, if you don't give a damn about what I'm talking about, by the way, they're like 10, 12 minute episodes, boom, in and out, get a couple of laughs, nod your head a couple of times, but worst case scenario, you'll love the theme.
Exactly.
You'll groove to the theme. And you might even boot scoot. Kyle boot scoots.
I do not boot scoot.
So, them boys always boot scoot.
Never
when
them
the
boys.
comes on. But other than that, Encyclopedia Hip Hop Podcast, where it's 97 and back for the most part.
There you go.
But it's putting you on or reminding you of dope shit, hip hop music that you either forgot about, never heard, or need to listen to again.
For sure. Check him out and be sure to subscribe because he, unlike me, he doesn't have a day where he drops. He just he drops unexpectedly like bird shit, as a great writer once said.
Yeah.
You guys been following me. At least I hope you've been following me. The Rap Soul Podcast. We drop new episodes every Thursday. Also, the flagship station, the 12 Kyle Podcast. We drop new episodes every Thursday there as well. We're everywhere. Wherever you're listening, that's where you can find it. If you're watching on YouTube, we're on YouTube as well. Or you can check out the website, the rapsoulpodcast.riverside.com. Again, that's going to do it for us. So for my boy Eclectic, I am your boy 12 Kyle. We'll catch you guys next time. 5,000. Cheer.
Thank you for listening. This concludes the episode. Be sure to subscribe to the Rap Soul Podcast. You can find the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Follow the podcast on social media. And feel free to continue this discussion on our Reddit page. More importantly, share this podcast with a friend or family member who loves music as much as you do. Until next time, 5,000.